friends, I am back. Hi. Yeah, it's been a crazy couple weeks. I thought I was going to be able to do this every day, but life has gotten crazy, so. But I am back today, and we're going to read Exodus 16 through 18. Yeah. This is going to continue with the story about where the Israelites go after they made it out of Egypt. So we're going to... Thank you all, Odie, for following. Nice to see you. Yeah, so we're going to start reading that, and I hope everybody's having a good time and a good day, and yeah, I'm not going to get into my life right now, but I just want you guys to know I'm going to try to be on here more, and yeah, but I'm also been trying to work doing Uber and stuff too, because I've got kids I gotta take care of right now. So if you want to read along with me, we're gonna do Exodus 16 through 18, and then I don't know, maybe we'll talk about it after if people have questions or anything they want to say about what we read. And feel free to just chime in whenever, because I am totally okay with that, especially if you know more about some of the Bible stuff and the history stuff that I might not know. Yeah. So let's get to reading. Manna and quail. The whole Israelite community set out from Elim and came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they had come out of Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted, but you have brought us out of the desert to starve this entire assembly to death. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather for that day. In this way I will test them and see whether they follow my instructions. On the 6th day, they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on all the other days. So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, in the evening you will know that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt, and in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we, that you should grumble against us? Moses also said, you will know that it was the Lord when he gives you your meat to eat in the evening, and all the bread you want in the morning, because he has heard your grumblings against him. Who are we? You are not grumbling against us, but against the Lord. Then Moses told Aaron, say to the entire Israelite community, come before the Lord, for he has heard your grumblings. While Aaron was speaking to the whole Israel community, they looked towards the desert, and they saw the glory of the Lord appearing in a cloud. The Lord said to Moses, I've heard the grumbling of the Israelites. Tell them at twilight you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be filled with bread. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God. That evening quail came and covered the camp, and in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on each ground appeared on the desert floor. When the Israelites saw it, they said to each other, what is it? For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, it is the bread the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Each one is to gather as much as they need. Take an omer for each person you have in your tent. The Israelites did as they were told. Some gathered much, some little. And when they measured it by the omer, the one who gathered much did not have too much, and the one who gathered little did not have too little. Each one had gathered just as much as they had needed. Then Moses said to them, no one is to keep any of it until morning. However, some of them paid no attention to Moses, and they kept part of it until morning, but it was full of maggots and began to smell. So Moses was angry with them. Each morning, everyone gathered as much as they needed, and when the sun grew hot, it melted away. On the 6th day, they gathered twice as much, 2 omars for each person, and the leader of the community came and reported this to Moses. He said to them, "This is what the Lord commanded. Tomorrow is to be a day of Sabbath, rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. So bake what you want to bake and boil what you want to boil. Save whatever is left and keep it until morning." So they saved it until morning as Moses commanded, and it did not stink or get maggots in it. "Eat it today," Moses said, "because today is a Sabbath to the Lord. You will not find any of it on the ground today. 6 days you are to gather it, but on the 7th day, the Sabbath, there will not be any." Nevertheless, some of the people went out on the 7th day to gather it, but they found none. Then the Lord said to Moses, "How long will you refuse to keep my commands and my instructions? Bear in mind that the Lord has given you the Sabbath. This is why on the 6th day he gives you bread for 2 days. Everyone is to stay where they are on the 7th day. No one is to go out." So the people rested on the 7th day. The people of Israel called the bread manna. It was white like coriander seed and tasted like wafers made of honey. Moses said, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Take an omar of manna and keep it for the generations to come, so that they can see the bread I gave you to eat in the wilderness when I brought you out of Egypt." So Moses said to Aaron, "Take a jar and put a omar of manna in it. Then place it before the Lord to be kept for the generations to come." As the Lord commanded Moses, Aaron put the manna with the tablets of the covenant law so that it may be preserved. The Israelites ate manna 40 years until they came to a land that was settled. They ate manna until they reached the border of Canaan. Water from a rock. The whole Israelite community set out from the desert of Sin, traveling from place to place as the Lord commanded. They camped at Rephidim, and there was no water for the people to drink. So they quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us water to drink." Moses replied, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put the Lord to the test?" But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock die of thirst?" Then Moses cried out to the Lord, "What am I to do with these people? They're almost ready to stone me." The Lord answered Moses, "Go in front of people. Take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand the staff in which you struck the Nile, and go. I will stand there before you by the rock at Hebron. Strike the rock, and water will come out for the people to drink." So Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel. And he called the place Massah and Marba, because the Israelites quarreled, and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" The Amalekites defeated. The Amalekites came and attacked Israel at Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, "Choose some of our men to go and fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands." So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered, and Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning, but whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. This is always an interesting story to me because it kind of goes into that whole idea that they believed in magic, and just holding up your hands could make, things happen that would create what God wanted, because God's all powerful, and if God tells you to hold up your hands to win a battle, then you're gonna do it. But yeah, it's interesting. I do wonder if Moses, I don't think he was a real person, but I do wonder if he was a real person, if there was some, I don't know, mental things going on in his head where he was hearing things telling him to do these things, even if, I mean, they didn't understand mental illness and things back then, so you have to wonder, if he was hearing voices in his head telling him to hold his arms up to fight, if he thought that was God when it was really just his own mind. But I also don't know if these are even, like, honestly, from my perspective, I don't think these stories actually happened. I think a lot of them are just, myth made up in order to create an origin story for a certain group of people, which most people have those origin stories. I mean, even in comic books and stuff, we see origin stories of, some of the villains and some of the superheroes and how they came to be what they are. And I think that's how a lot of this kind of worked out in the Bible, where it was a lot of people just writing down, stories about how they thought things started. And I mean, it's not wrong. It's just a different culture and it's a different time, and they had a very different way of looking at things than we do today. When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on each side, one on the other, so that his hands remained steady till sunset. So Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword. Moses built an altar. Oh, whoops, sorry. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Write this on a scroll as something to be remembered, and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will completely blot out the name of Amalek from under heaven." Moses built an altar and called it, "The Lord is my banner." He said, "Because hands were lifted up against the throne of the Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation." Jethro visits Moses. Now Jethro, the priest of Midian, and the father-in-law of Moses, heard of everything God had done for Moses and for the people of Israel, and how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. After Moses had sent away his wife Zipporah, his father-in-law Jethro received her and her 2 sons. One son's name was Gershom, for Moses said, "I have become a foreigner in a foreign land." And the other's name was Eliezer, for he said, "My father's God was my helper. He saved me from the sword of Pharaoh." Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, together with Moses' son and wife, came to him in the wilderness, where he camped near the mountain of God. Jethro had sent word to him, "I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and her 2 sons." So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and bowed down and kissed him. They greeted each other, and then they went into the tent. Moses told his father-in-law about everything the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and all about the hardships that they had met along the way, and how the Lord had saved them. Jethro was delighted to hear about all these good things the Lord had done for Israel in rescuing them from the hand of the Egyptians. He said, "Praise be to the Lord, who rescued you from the hands of the Egyptians and of Pharaoh, and who rescued the people from the hands of the Egyptians. Now I know the Lord is greater than all the other gods, for he did this to those who had treated Israel arrogantly." Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and other sacrifices to God, and Aaron came with the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law in the presence of God. The next day, Moses took his seat to serve as judge for the people, and they stood around him from morning till evening. When his father-in-law saw that all Moses was doing for the people, he said, "What is it you are doing for the people? Why do you alone sit as judge? while all these people stand around you from morning till evening?" Moses answered him, "Because the people came to me to seek God's will. Whenever they have a dispute, it is brought to me, and I decide between the parties and inform them of God's decrees and instructions." Moses' father-in-law replied, "What you are doing is not good. You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone. Listen to me now, and I will give you advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God, and bring their disputes to him. Teach them his decrees and instructions, and show them the way they are to live, and how they are to behave. But select capable men from all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Have them serve as judges for the people at all times, but have them bring every difficult case to you. The simple cases they can decide themselves. That will make your load lighter, because they will share it with you. If you do this, and God so commands, you will be able to stand the strain, and all these people will go home satisfied." Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. He chose capable men from all of Israel and made them leaders of people, officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They served as judges for the people of all time. The difficult cases they brought to Moses, but the simple ones they decided themselves. Then Moses sent his father-in-law on his way, and Jethro returned to his own country. And that's where we're going to stop today. Tomorrow we get to, well, hopefully if I can get on here tomorrow, I think I can, start reading about Mount Sinai. And maybe the 10 Commandments, because I'm pretty sure that's where they got the 10 Commandments. Well, both sets of 10 Commandments. If you don't know that whole story. Yeah, it's interesting that they were just wandering in the desert for a while. I always found it interesting, like when I looked up, some of the history of Egypt and how the desert that they were wandering in was a part of Egypt, and they had like guard towers and stuff. So a lot of the stuff that they talk about in the Bible doesn't make a lot of sense for the time period that they think this happened, because the Israelites literally escaped Egypt to just wander around Egypt for 40 years. So that one was always, I didn't know that before I left the church, and when I found that out, I was like, well, that's something they don't teach you in Sunday school. Yeah, I really love the history of religions in general, and just like learning as much as I can and knowing like what evidence is actually out there, as opposed to, what evidence people claim is out there. And just the different perspectives, because coming from a Christian background, my whole perspective was, the Bible was completely true, and it was backed up with all this evidence. And looking at it now, I just realized like the evidence that I was given was very, I don't know, shallow, I guess. It didn't dig deeper into things, and it didn't explain a lot of things that needed to be explained. And even now, they're still finding evidence of, things that the Bible claims happened, and there's evidence that a lot of these things didn't happen, and a lot of, like, places that they talked about conquering and things were conquered, like, or wiped out way before the Israelites even existed. So yeah, I really like those. I like history, and I like religion. So history and religion are some things that I really like to just look into, and that's what kind of led me out of the church was figuring out that a lot of this stuff was mythology and made up for this culture at this time period. And I don't have any problem with mythology and learning about different, religions and their mythology, but the biggest problem is when it steps over the boundaries of, hurting other people. And that's a big thing that I'm struggling with right now, is just because I live in America and it's very Christian, a lot of people use these scriptures to, hurt other people or discriminate against other people. And I definitely don't want to do that. And I don't want, a mythological book to determine how I'm going to treat another human being. So I think that's a big part of why I do this too, because I want people to know that, you're not alone when you're having doubts and thinking about, things in the Bible. And I know for me, I felt, even like not being on here, but just going on YouTube and listening to, atheists talk about coming out of the church and like having a whole different perspective on what they were taught in the Bible is really helpful. And like I said, I really like the community that I have found on here. And you don't have to be a streamer to be part of the online atheist community. You can just be in the chat and talk to people and get that interaction that you need. And especially in this time with COVID, because so many people, I think, just feel so isolated. And having that outlet, that way to connect with people that we don't get as much now, because we have to be isolated in our homes to protect ourselves and protect our kids and all that. So yeah, thank you for watching my stream. If you want to support me, I have a Teespring store, I have a Patreon, I have a PayPal. I'm trying to think of all the things I have. But yeah, I have all those things if you just want to go to Overprotected Atheist and find me. I really like doing this, and I hope I can continue to do this and, just get my voice heard and let other people know that their voices can be heard too, even if, they're just in the chat or they're just came here to hang out, So, thank you everyone who came, and I hope I can be back on tomorrow. I'm really trying hard here, but my life is crazy right now, and I don't know what's gonna happen. So I will do my best to stream when I can, and I hope you guys can join me to read my Bible. And I'm also gonna keep doing my YouTube. So if you haven't found me on YouTube, it's Overprotected Atheist on YouTube, and I've done a couple live streams, but I mostly do animations about things I've learned since leaving the church. And I want to continue to do that too, because I really like animating and editing and that kind of thing. And it's something I can do from home. So, yeah. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. We can read about Mount Sinai. Bye.